Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm Kathie Bechmann.
And I'm Joseph Anthony.
And this Down the Rabbit Hole is for September 20th through October 2nd. And of course, we always do these for the 13-year period of the Trecena.
13-year?
Is that what I said?
Yeah. Okay.
Time is really going fast now.
Yeah.
The 13-day Trecena, which is the Mayan calendar week. So what's going on astrologically?
Well, let's see. We've got a new moon on the 27th, and this one is in Libra. And this one has a lot of aspects to it. In other words, there's an opposition, there's a square. There's some challenges with this new moon. But all new moons bring in new opportunities, and since it's in the sign of Libra, relationships, any kind of relationships, contractual agreements, it could be anything of that nature being brought to the forefront. So since it's a little challenging, there's a little adjustment with this new moon. So having to do with personal relationships or friends and people close to us. Mm-hmm. And on a larger scale, on a worldwide scale, it could be something to do with America's neighbors or friends or enemies or so on and so forth. So this new moon is definitely an opportunity to start something new in a more positive, but it's going to take a little work. So.
Well, and that's interesting because you're talking about relationships, and there's also the business relationships, right?
Absolutely.
And this Trecena is associated with wind, and which is also called Ik, I-K. Mm-hmm. And it's associated with, wind is associated with air. And air can either be the air that fills our lungs, so it can be good, or the yin-yang of that is wind can be somewhat devastating at times, as in a hurricane. And hurricane happens to be one of the only words that we got from the Maya that translated into English. And one of the things that you can do during this 13-day period is to look to better your professional relationships. And so when you put those two together, it's almost like they say the wind beneath your wings, to further your passions, to further your relationships in business. It's also a time to sweep away, so to speak, the negatives from your life and from your home. So during this 13-day period, you may want to clean out your home or do any kind of cleansing, purging,
cleansing.
Yeah,
okay. Well, that makes perfect sense. But we definitely have been feeling the energy of this month. No doubt about it. Last month and this month, these are major months for transformational energy. Yeah. And I know Kathie and I have talked about this, and other people, clients and friends, who basically said, I feel so different. There's a different energy in the air. It's almost surreal. And that's what this month has been all about. It's been a transformation. And we are continuing down that path of transforming from old ways of doing things into the new ways of doing things.
That's right.
And when we look back at this year, these are the 2 months that are going to stand out. Okay?
Yeah, well, and I always talk about the 9th wave and the different days and nights that we're moving through. And we're moving into the 6th night. And it's going to be the last night of this 16.4 billion year calendar. And it goes from September 23rd through October 10th.
Wow. And
it's a time to create understanding. And when you're creating understanding, what are you doing? You're changing your perspective. You have to gain a new perspective, accept changes.
Absolutely.
So.
Speaking of changes, how unusual is it that we've seen all of these earthquakes occurring? And we were talking about this. 14 so far as of this taping, which is the 16th of September. 14 earthquakes with a magnitude over 6.0, in a 2-week period. This is highly unusual or strange or an anomaly. And I'm sure.
I think it's 4 or 5 6.0s in the last 24-hour period, with 2 of them being off the Japanese coast. Right?
Exactly. So this is, you see what I'm saying by unusual energy or a change or a shift that's been occurring, and this is definitely part of that shift, of that change. And I'd like to just talk about this for a second. I personally believe that there's something going on with the sun. And I say that because not only have the new crop circles that have shown up in London are talking about the sun, or the image of the sun, and some sort of shifting that's occurring. That's one. Then we have also these UFO videos of UFO objects around the sun in the past month. Exactly, literally around the sun, like they're looking at the sun to try and understand what's going on. And then we also have one of our favorite people, David Wilcox, who talks about a DNA restructuring from the sun in Egypt and back 3,000 years ago, how they were worshiping the sun only because of its power to transform. And I do believe that that's what we're going through right now.
Well, and we've had 3 X-class flares.
Exactly.
Which, so science is proving what we're feeling.
Absolutely. We are definitely feeling, that's a good point. We are definitely feeling a lot more. As I like to say, the veils between worlds is coming down, so we're able to see and sense more than the average. You see, so it's actually a really exciting time for me. I see it as an exciting time because whatever happens, we are entering a new period of rebirth. So let's not look upon this time as doom and gloom. It's really a transformation that must occur.
And I want to just talk about that for a second, because it seems like the folks that are not privy to this kind of information, that don't get into the down the rabbit holes, that don't get into watching YouTube, quite often they're going about their business. They may be feeling a little bit of the effects, but it's not manifesting in their lives as much. But those of us that are really in tune with the energies seem to be literally riding these waves more, where we're like, you can feel like, okay, today is a very up day, and everything in my life is manifesting in an up way. Today is a low day, and everything in my life is manifesting in a low way. So if you are experiencing more highs and lows than perhaps other people in your life that may not be in tune with all this, that's one reason why. When we block things out, the effects may not manifest in our daily lives as readily to those of us that are really in tune.
Well, absolutely. And speaking of being in tune, there are so many changes that are occurring in the world today. And as the Mayan calendar talks about, an 18-day cycle in the co-creation, how things manifest every 18 days now. It just keeps changing. It's the one word I could say from this point on is constant change. That's it.
The only constant is change.
Exactly. And I mean, it's like everything is being shown to us from Elenin, the major alignment that's occurring on the 27th of Elenin with, what are the planets involved again, Kathie?
It's Mercury.
Right.
It's Mercury, Earth's, and the Sun.
Right. There's a major alignment there with Ellen. Oh, by the way, there was some sort of shooting star or something that took place on the 14th, and it was very interesting. I'm not saying it was Elenin, but it was definitely captured on video.
Yeah, all over the Southwest in the United States, but it's also been seen as far as Australia.
Nobody knows anything. We can't seem to find any information on this thing, And NASA, since they've closed down, I think they've got some sort of gag order now where they don't want to share any information. Right. And speaking of NASA, aren't they in a place where there's a lot of underground bunkers?
Right. So I was going to say, so let's tie that in together. The next alignment with Elenin is the 26th or the 27th. There's a little bit of debate over which day.
Right.
Interestingly, President Obama will be leaving the East Coast, traveling to the West Coast, and then ultimately arriving in Denver, where it's known that there's an underground bunker underneath the...
underground bunker? There's more underground bunkers in Denver than anywhere else in the world.
So guess where our president will be?
He just happened to be in Denver.
Yeah. But there is a major one under the Denver airport. And it just so happens that NASA will be there as well. They have an exhibit that's going to be going on there. Interestingly enough, again...
Ooh, wow, what a coincidence, huh, folks?
Yeah, it started on September 16th. And goes through October 28th. And October 28th just happens to be the last day of the 16.4 billion year Mayan calendar.
Wow. We're talking October 28th or September? Okay.
October 28th, yeah.
Yeah.
September 16th through October 28th.
Interesting, huh?
Yes. Something else that you may want to Google to get a little bit more information on, just another little coinkydink that's out there. In the movie Close Encounters, in the beginning of the movie, I'm not sure if you remember, but the aliens were communicating with the Earthlings through kind of like the telegraph,
Right.
and they were giving coordinates on there. And if you plug in the coordinates that were on the movie into Google Earth, guess where it points to?
Let me think now. The Denver airport.
Bingo.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah,
Boy, I tell you.
there's a lot of similarities in movies that are coming out that people are identifying, and it's quite amazing.
Yes, it is. Well, anyway, there you have it. Here's this segment for Down the Rabbit Hole. And remember, we're going through a transitional period, so just try and stay centered, and just realize that somehow, some way, we will be rebirthing or birthing into a new era or a new period.
That's right.
So,
And if you can embrace that the only constant is change, then you'll will just
exactly.
go.
Be flexible and adapt.
That's right. So,
Okay. I'm Joe Anthony.
I'm Kathie Bechmann.
Till next time, see you down the rabbit hole.